Lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender people in Georgia face legal challenges that non-LGBT people do not experience. Georgia is one of only a few countries in the former Soviet space that directly prohibits discrimination against all LGBT people in legislation, labor-related or otherwise. Since 2012, Georgian law has considered crimes committed on the grounds of one's sexual orientation or gender identity an aggravating factor in prosecution. Despite this, homosexuality is still considered a major deviation from highly traditional Orthodox Christian values prevalent in the country, where public discussions of sexuality in general tend to be viewed in a highly negative light. Consequently, homosexuals are often targets of abuse and physical violence, often actively encouraged by religious leaders. The government tries to bring the country's human rights record in line with the demands of Georgia's European and Euro-Atlantic integration. Former Georgian Prime Minister Bidzina Ivanishvili has stated that sexual minorities are the same citizens as we are. The society will gradually get used to it. Since 2014, discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity has been outlawed. Moreover, recent street tensions in the country over LGBT rights have generated unprecedented media coverage and public discussion of this previously neglected topic. Homosexuality was banned in Georgia under Tsarist rule after the February Revolution, which saw the monarchy in Russia being overthrown. The Tsarist criminal code was abolished, making homosexuality legal. From 1918, Georgia enjoyed brief independence before it was incorporated into the Soviet Union in 1922. At this point, Bolsheviks who came to power introduced a ban on homosexuality. The ban was adopted even though Soviet policy on homosexuality in these years was considerably mild, as Lenin and other Bolsheviks did not consider homosexuality a crime, and even deemed Tsarist policy toward homosexuals oppressive and campaigned against what they thought to be bourgeois morality. Moreover, no ban was introduced on homosexuality in Russia after the October Revolution. However, many Bolsheviks thought adopting a ban on homosexuality for Caucasian nations to be a necessary act in order to overcome cultural backwardness. Views toward homosexuality changed radically while Stalin consolidated his power in the 1930s. Stalin proceeded to introduce a nationwide ban on male homosexuality in 1933, with up to 5 years of hard labor in prison. The precise reason for the law is still in dispute. The leadership of the Soviet Union explained this shift in policy by Soviet medical researchers, which concluded that homosexuality was a mental disease. Soviet authorities also classified homosexuality as a remnant of capitalist society, thus declaring homosexuals to be counter-revolutionary and enemies of the people. Some historians have suggested that Joseph Stalin's enactment of the anti-gay law was, like his prohibition on abortion, an attempt to increase the Soviet birth rate. The article outlawing homosexuality was also used by Soviet authorities against dissident movements, with many activists being arrested on trumped-up sodomy charges. After Georgia obtained its independence from the Soviet Union in 1991, the aforesaid practice fell out of use and there are no recorded cases of sodomy article being openly used against political opponents ever since. Despite this, the freedom of same-sex sexual activity was not officially enshrined in the law until 2000, when the Georgian government put in place an amended criminal code to meet the standards set forth by the Council of Europe and the European Convention on Human Rights. The age of consent for both heterosexual and homosexual sex stands at 16 years of age as set by the Georgian Penal Code, Articles 140 and 141. Georgia does not recognize same-sex unions, either in the form of marriage or civil unions. Since 2018, the Constitution of Georgia has defined marriage as a union of a woman and a man for the purpose of founding a family. All the same, there is an open discourse to recognize same-sex unions by introducing civil partnership for couples. In March 2016, the ruling Georgian Dream Coalition proposed a constitutional amendment, which would define marriage as a union of a man and a woman. although Georgia's civil code already defines marriage as a heterosexual union, thus effectively preventing same-sex marriages. The Constitution of Georgia was gender-neutral, specifying that marriage shall be based upon equality of rights and free will of spouses. That gender-neutral wording caused conservative elements in the Georgian society to worry that the civil code may be challenged and struck down in the courts, potentially paving a way for same-sex marriages. The proposed constitutional amendment caused a backlash from Georgian civil society and human rights organizations, which assailed the legislation as way of